Am I ever gonna do psychedelics ever again in my life? Honestly, I don't know. Hey, I'm Vego and this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel, we usually talk about the topics of self-realization, self-actualization and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Well, now, one of these psychedelic experiences, kind of a little bit of an unresponsible and dangerous combination actually, has catapulted me into a spiritual emergency, a spiritual crisis, the first dark night of the soul, if you will. And it's been a rough and challenging time, honestly. Honestly, it's been the most amount of suffering, deep suffering and emotional difficulty I've experienced in my life so far, and it has shaken me a lot and humbled me infinitely. So in this video I want to wrap up the story about my spiritual emergency. You can watch the beginning of the story right here and talk about my current state of being now, 2 months after the experience started, and how I want to move forward, how it's going and what is gonna happen also related to this channel and to my work. If you want to check out my work, you can check out psychedelicactualization.com, and also I wrote an ebook about spiritual emergencies, completely for free, a step-by-step guide on how to navigate deep transformational processes. You can check it out in the video description below. So right now, my current state of being is, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know. I'm still a little bit confused. I can still feel the subtle vibrations in my body, but I've kind of got used to them. The visual distortions, it's very hard to say if they are still there, because I can't even remember my old state of consciousness, my old state of being before the experience. So something seems to have permanently changed. The tinnitus is so strong. It's still very strong. It's still there. And that's kind of the main symptom that I still got from this whole experience. The emotional turmoil and everything kind of has settled down. I'm not experiencing this deep sense of suffering anymore. I'm not extremely aware anymore, or fearful or anxious. I'm still in a very open and sensitive state, but way more centered, balanced, and able to focus and work. For example, shoot these videos again. So, and also looking back on the experience on the last couple of weeks, it kind of seems a little bit unreal, honestly. Like a dream, like a psychedelic experience itself. It seems very far away. And I can't even really reconnect to that state of being in this deep spiritual crisis anymore. Which is, I guess, a good sign of me recalibrating back into certain old ways of perceiving the world. So I'm feeling a little bit more tired again sometimes, and unaware, which is not necessarily a good thing, but I think a very good thing of recalibration. Because it was just too much to take on, this whole state that was kind of emerging. And honestly, I don't know what to say. I don't know how I feel or how I want to move forward. I just want to share some quotes, because some great masters and mystics of the past have really formulated what I am feeling right now and what I have felt in the past couple of weeks very well. It's all in my workbook. There's a lot of more great quotes, but I just want to read them to you because they express my understanding and my current state of feeling way better than I could ever put into words. So here they come. The first one is by Rumi. He said, "Hardship may dishearten at first, but every hardship passes away. All despair is followed by hope. All darkness is followed by sunshine." He also said, "Dance when you're broken open. Dance if you've torn the bandage off. Dance in the middle of the fighting. Dance in your blood. Dance when you're perfectly free." Which is kind of a very nice one, because if you remember the trip report of my 5-MeO DMT experience, the key insight of that experience was being able to dance the dance of life, being completely engaged in the dance, seeing every movement that we do in this human incarnation as part of a great dance. So this quote from Rumi resonates a lot. The next one is by Gurdjieff. He said, "That's just the beginning. There's worse to come. You have already begun to die. It is a long way yet to complete death, but still a certain amount of silliness is going out of you. You can no longer deceive yourself as sincerely as you did before. You have now gotten the taste for truth." And I guess that is one of the main insights. I feel like now this spiritual practice has really started. It's like now it's rubber meets road. In this deep sense of suffering in the dark night, that's where real kind of spiritual growth happens. That's now where I discover what real prayer or faith or trust even means. In these times of darkness, that's where I could kind of fully grasp the full picture of what it actually means to fully let go into selflessness or into nothingness. And it's way more immense than I could have ever imagined. Actually, it's also way more simple than I could have ever imagined. But the difficulty involved in fully letting that go, it's a long way to go for me. And now I'm kind of fired up for this practice. The next quote is by Meister Eckhart, a great German mystic. He said, "Nothing is sharper than suffering, and nothing is sweeter than to have suffered." This kind of giving great hope of the light at the end of the tunnel, of moving out of the dark night into dawn, of finally sometimes being able to experience the sunshine and the light and the peace and the joy again. And it's such a sweet feeling after having gone through such a deep transformational process of suffering. Also, there's a great mantra from the Buddhists, from the Heart Sutra, at the end of the Heart Sutra, and it says, "Gate, gate, para samgate bodhi swaha." I'm kind of taking that into my practice of chanting, which I've picked up as well. And it means there's a lot of different nuances in the translations, but one that resonates with me is going beyond, going completely beyond enlightenment. Swaha, kind of amen. Praise the Lord. Which kind of, it signifies this path of going completely beyond any spiritual experience that we have, beyond any experience of enlightenment or joy or bliss, and even beyond the suffering, beyond, even completely beyond. Even when we think we've gone beyond, go further beyond, further, and then you will have reached your place of your Buddha nature. Another translation of that is kind of fall, let everything fall into place. And then there's Karlfried Graf Bruckenheim, a German kind of Zen master and psychologist. He said, "Only to the extent that man exposes himself over and over again to annihilation can that which is indestructible arise within him. In this lies the dignity of daring. Only if we venture repeatedly through those of annihilation can our contact with divine being, which is beyond annihilation, become firm and stable. The more a man learns wholeheartedly to confront the world which threatens him with isolation, the more are the depths of the ground of being revealed, and the possibilities of new life and becoming opened." Also very deep one. Truly deeply resonating with me. And also in me I can notice the arising of a deep fear. Of a deep grief and suffering as well, because even the thought of plunging myself into zones of annihilation again, just after emerging slowly emerging after my first kind of awakening and dark night of the soul, and just knowing that there's more to come. It's a long way to die fully. There's a certain fear and resistance that comes up, and unwillingness to let go into that. Even though I deeply know in my heart that is what I truly want to do. That is where I want to go, beyond, until I've reached this place of liberation. But it's yeah, the difficulty on this path and the challenges and the dark times that are included in that are just shaking me to the core of my being. Next one is from Lao Tzu, from the Tao Te Ching. Great piece of literature I can recommend to anyone on the path. Very deep wisdom in that one. He said, if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. Let that sink in for a moment. Maybe replay that part or pause for a moment and read that quote again and let it sink in. But this is kind of what I've learned on this path. It's a recommitment, a very deep one, to the spiritual path. It's kind of recognizing that the past 7 years of my spiritual practice was just the beginning. It was just the beginning, and I'm not taking the actual practice of trusting life and letting go of my sense of self serious enough. So now it was kind of this wake-up call to take this path more seriously, to recommit myself, to trust more, to truly practice patience. And a practice that I've picked up is chanting. I've been chanting the Mool Mantra and the Gayatri Mantra and the Gate Gate, Parasamgate Para, Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha every day for like 1 or 2 hours, and that's been kind of a stable sense. And I've been picking up and trying to practice continuous breath awareness, which I've talked about in the numerology video. So yeah, it's a deep process of integration that's going on, and it's still going on, and it's going to continue to go on. And then we come to the question of psychedelics. Do I feel ready to take psychedelics again? I've been thinking about it, and I've had the desire, definitely, for sure, to go into the psychedelic space again. But at the moment, right now, in my current state, I don't know. Like, I don't know, I truly don't know if I feel ready to go in again. And if I'm gonna go in again, I'm gonna go in very smoothly with very little amounts and very tiny, careful experiences. Because to plunge myself fully into a high dose session again is it's too much for me at the moment. It's only been 2 months since my last experience, and sometimes it is that way on the path, and it takes a couple of months or maybe even years to fully grasp and integrate the immensity of what we've experienced in some of our life-changing experiences. And that's the way it is. Usually before that I was on a schedule of going into psychedelic experiences maybe once a month, kind of really pushing it and going into sometimes softer experiences, sometimes more intense experiences, but still continuously going in. But now I do need to take a step back, I recognize, and just give myself the space and time to fully ground myself again and feel stable in my new foundation of trust and understanding and practice that I'm building up at the moment. Because I've kind of hit ground zero and now I'm slowly coming back to be able to trust myself and trust life in a way that I can also be able to let go and surrender into psychedelic experience. So I don't know. Also, deep respect, honestly, deep respect to those who've gone the path before, especially those on the psychedelic path. Christopher Beisch, who wrote the book LSD and the Mind of the Universe. Leo Gura, sometimes with his 30-day 5-MeO DMT retreats. Martin Ball, absolutely bonkers. And also you who are on this path and who has maybe faced similar difficulties on the path, and also gurus and masters and teachers who've gone before us and who have journeyed as far into the darkness and came back out of it to shine their light, and who have been strong enough to transmute that energy and yeah, just go through the darkness, take it on, and come out on the other end stronger than ever before and wiser than ever before. Deep respect to all of you. I'm just like beginning to grasp the intensity of what some people must have been going through. It's just in comparison to some of their experiences, also Carl Jung or whatever, in comparison to some experiences, also other reports of dark nights of the soul or spiritual crisis that I've read, mine has been in comparison soft and easy and really smooth in a way, very smooth. I'm very blessed to be in such a good space with such a good support system in place, and to have been going through such a soft dark night of the soul. But as I said, it's just the beginning, and it still caught me by surprise by the intensity of it. Completely blew my mind, and it has been the deepest sense of suffering I've experienced in this lifetime. And just recognizing that, and then the potential depth of deeper realms of darkness, is just absolutely bonkers to me. So again, blessings to all of you. I feel you now. I can begin there's a beginning of empathy and compassion that arises out of this experience. So this is what I've learned. And now what? How are we going to move forward? I don't know. Let's see. Let's jump into the mystery, the great unknown, the Wu Wei, the Tao, the dance. I'll just try to trust and join the dance and see where it's going to lead me. I'm gonna go back to the work a little bit. I can feel myself definitely being inspired to come back to do more videos. I'm gonna share old stories of psychedelic experiences that I haven't shared before, and come back to the foundational teachings of self-realization and self-actualization, because that is kind of a great foundation to build, a very important foundation to build if we want to journey into the deeper realms of the psychedelic experience, for sure. So definitely gonna work on that. I'm working on the ultimate psychedelic beginner's course. It's gonna be absolutely immense and amazing. You can't even imagine how much value. The Spiritual Emergency Workbook is just a tiny beginning of one of the 200 topics that are going to be covered in there. So definitely stay tuned for updates on the course. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I feel inspired to go back to that. Been receiving a lot of resonance of what I've shared so far with the world, of what I've been working on in the last couple of years in regard to the course. You can check out my festival talk, my first real in-person festival talk, where I kind of outlined everything that is going to be included in the course, or at least some parts of it. Great foundation for to see what to expect in the course. And also I'm starting a coaching training program so I can be able to offer coaching services in the future. Again, if you want to check out my work, psychedelicactualization.com. It's a great program. It's going to be a lot of deep, intense learning of the skill of coaching, and also building the foundation again for myself of my journey. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this dance of listening to the symphony of my story. I hope it resonated with you and it could provide value in some sense or another. And I'm excited to walk this journey. Again, I want to emphasize the depth of the experience was immense. The suffering of the experience was immense. The darkness of the experience was immense. But also I can see the term spiritual emergency as a very fitting one, because I am feeling like I am emerging into a higher level of integration and deeper foundation of trust into my practice. And it is a transformation into something great. It is not just a psychotic break. It is not just a deep suffering, but it is a reconnection to the truth source of love. And that is an incredible opportunity that I can step truly into more of who I am through this deep crisis. I'm still speaking words of caution of not recommending anybody to try dangerous combinations of substances. And even if you go into intense psychedelic experiences, I want to caution you of just being aware of the power of what you're playing with. It can really begin some deep processes of transformation that can be very unsettling, especially in the higher doses and in the deeper work. And just being aware of that and then taking responsibility for the consequences of your actions is very crucial. Very, very crucial. We're going to talk about that more in the next coming weeks. Thank you so much for listening. Much love to you. I love you all. And I will see you in the next one. Satanam.